Admit it. You know you cried. It's the Wilk Report. I'm Michael Wilk, coming to you from Cleveland, Ohio, with an epic review of an epic episode. The Mandalorian, Season 1, Episode 8, or Chapter 8, Redemption. And let me tell you something, biker scouts can be remarkably funny when they're acting like morons who can't shoot worth a damn. Yeah, oh my god, this episode just gave a heart-wrenching, tearjerker finale, action-packed. It had everything. It had humor, it had drama, it had action, it had, it had pretty much everything that Star Wars should have had on the big screen, but hasn't for quite a while now. So, let's go ahead and get to the slideshow. So, we open up, the biker scouts who killed Quill in the previous episode are talking about their capture, the Yoda baby, and, this is a pretty humorous exchange because the one biker scout on the right wants to see what's in the bag, and the one on the left is saying, look, Moff Gideon just murdered like 12 of his own soldiers because, just to make a point. And so, I'm not screwing this up. And so, IG-11 shows up then and takes out the two biker scouts because he's in protection mode. And yeah, so, just kind of shows that, not all of his prior programming was removed. He still knows how to fight and shoot. So yeah, Yoda baby is like pretty impressed here. IG-11 is like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna protect you. So, he decides, well, I have to rendezvous with the Mandalorian and Cara Dune and Greef Karga, which he does. So meanwhile, back at the cantina, Moff Gideon is revealing himself, just how badass he really is, because he has done his homework. He reveals information about the Mandalorian, about Cara Dune, about, he mentions that she's a rebel shock trooper because they brought out this big gun, which is like this rapid fire blaster cannon that they've set up, and he's taunting them. So he reveals bits about Cara Dune and how she's a former rebel shock trooper who was present. She's from Alderaan, which was blown up years prior. We got a name for the Mandalorian, Din Djarin, who, basically because he knows the Mandalorian's real name, this is proof that Moff Gideon is actually alive and he wasn't executed like rumor had it. He also reveals that Greef Karga used to be a magistrate and he was disgraced. So yeah, so this guy has done his homework. He knows about the three people. Just kind of shows what a badass he's being set up to be for next season, because yes, he does actually survive. If you haven't seen it yet, spoilers. Yeah, he survives this episode, but so the Mandalorian has a flashback where he remembers how his parents were killed, and it turns out Moff Gideon, back then he was in charge of the massacre of the Mandalorian homeworld and all this stuff. So meanwhile, IG-11 is riding on the speeder bike with the Yoda baby, who's having a hell of a time riding on this thing. And you can tell and I just love the puppetry and the animation for the face, but IG-11, he's riding into town. He's shooting biker scouts and stormtroopers left and right. I mean, just really going to town on them. So, because the trio are debating whether or not to surrender or try and fight their way out. And there's a secret sewer tunnel that they can take to get to the Mandalorian hideout and see if there's any help there. Meanwhile, IG-11 rides into town. Yoda baby is like, he's like enjoying the shooting gallery here. So, kind of not really realizing the situation. But yeah, so this is just one of those little tension breakers that we see throughout. Yeah, and you can see from the screen cap, yeah, things get brutal, man. Stormtroopers are getting shot in the face. It's just, oh my God. So yeah, you just get a real sense for things are actually happening, and even though IG-11 is largely CGI and animatronics, but it looks real. I mean, you can tell this is where the budget for this season went to, was this final episode where they've got these big battles. So he uh, leaps off the speeder bike and sends it crashing into the stormtroopers, and he's guns blazing and everything, buying time for the rest of the gang to get their bearings and add to the shootout. So yeah, you can tell there's explosions going on. Oh my god, explosions, people! It's just completely freaking awesome. So yeah, I mean, IG's kicking ass, taking names, all in defense of the Yoda baby. It's making full use of his weaponry and design, where his torso can swivel around and protect the Yoda baby. So Mando comes out, with his guns. He gets a hold of the rapid fire cannon eventually and starts shooting with it. But here's the thing: Moff Gideon did not get where he is by just standing around and letting things happen around him. He's actually taking his sweet time, training his gun on the Mandalorian, shooting him from behind, which you'll see in a few moments. But just kind of give you a real feel for what's going on, because everything in this scene that you're seeing here has weight to it. The stakes are high. If they don't get out, they are dead. And you feel this. I mean, and Cara Dune, played by Gina Carano, is being her usual badass self. She's got her own little minigun blaster, and she's good at her job. I mean, and of course, Mandalorian, he picks up the big rapid fire cannon and starts blasting stormtroopers. But of course, Moff Gideon, again, he's not being passive here. He's picking his moment and taking his shot. So he gets a shot at the back of the Mandalorian's helmet, actually wounds him. Maybe, blaster went low a bit and shot him back in the neck or something. I don't know. But that's not enough to really take him down. So he blows up this canister of explosives or whatever. Big fireball. Mandalorian's knocked to the ground. He's basically out of the action for a little while. And, IG-11 and, manages to lay down cover fire so that they can all fall back into the cantina while they try and slice through the grill into the sewers to make their escape. So Mandalorian gives Cara Dune this Mandalorian medallion that will identify them as being friendly to the Mandalorian clan if there's any still alive down there. Tells her, look, I'm done for. Cara's like, you're not going to die. You've just gotten your bell rung and you'll be fine. But he's like, no, leave me here. Like, he really thinks he's going to die. That's how bad it is. And so then a stormtrooper with a flamethrower comes along and oh my god, dude, even the Yoda baby starts kicking ass here. And this could go over the top. It really could. But director Taika Waititi manages to keep it from, getting silly. So Yoda baby manages to actually turn the flames back around on the stormtrooper. And yeah, so, but it doesn't come off as contrived. This isn't like Mare Sue in Rise of Palpatine. This is actually the Yoda baby. Of course, he faints after this because he's still a kid, and this is basically all he's got left at a time. So Mandalorian, because IG-11 is trying to heal the Mandalorian, and he's like, no living being could take off my helmet. That's the oath I swore. IG-11 says, I'm not a living being. And so, that's it. And so basically we see the Mandalorian with his helmet off. And of course, we see, the star, Pedro Pascal, but which I think is kind of a mistake. But anyway, they all escape into the sewers and they find this pile of Mandalorian armor and helmets. Basically, what's all that's left of the clan, who if any, escaped. But then, of course, the armorer survived, and she stayed behind to gather up what she could and melt stuff down into Beskar armor so she can take it with her and forge. Because Mandalorian's asking, like, look. He's asking Karga, look, did you do this? And Karga's like, no, we're not fanatics like the Imperials. Once the fight was over, that was it. And so the armorer shows up and points out, no, this was the Empire who did this. They came into the sewers, killed pretty much anyone who wasn't lucky enough to escape, and she's the only one left. And we later on see why. But anyway, that the armorer gives Mando a backpack, a rocket pack, but she also says, look, you are responsible for this kid, all right? This is what it's all been about. You're responsible for him. Either get him to his people or, until he's of age and can take care of himself, but, he's your responsibility. And she goes ahead and gives him his insignia, which she welds to his one shoulder plate. But yeah, the Yoda baby is being given his backstory, because she's actually giving exposition here, explaining the Jedi and how they used to be enemies of the Mandalorians, but not anymore. And the Yoda baby is not an enemy; he's just a kid, and Mandalorian has to be his father now. So yeah, then she remains behind. And when the stormtrooper contingent comes through, the ones who weren't blasted by IG-11 after they all escape, she starts kicking ass and proves just why she was the leader of the Mandalorian clan. I mean, this scene is also epic and brutal. She's using her welding tools to fight the stormtroopers. We literally see a stormtrooper's helmet get shattered. Another one goes into the furnace and gets vaporized basically in the forge. And, basically there's no one left standing after she's done here. So you can pretty much rest assured we're going to see this woman again. I hope we do, because she is just such a badass. But, because obviously the Mandalorian's going to need more Beskar metal to patch up his armor. So yeah, the gang end up traveling down this lava river. And I don't know why there's a lava river. Maybe there's some kind of magma flow that is used for travel. Because and here we see an R2 unit that's been refurbished into a lava boat ferryman, and it refuses to actually stop because it's programmed to take them to the outside to the lava plains and where they're supposed to exit. But of course, there's a contingent of stormtroopers waiting for them, and IG-11 has done the calculations in his head. There's no way to survive and protect the Yoda baby with IG-11 still alive. So he decides to sacrifice himself. And this is actually a pretty touching scene here. And the Mandalorian is basically, IG-11 has seen him with his helmet off, when he's at his most vulnerable. And, he healed him of his injuries. This has emotional weight to it. And so he uses an onboard thermal detonator to blow up the contingent of stormtroopers and basically clear the way for the heroes to escape. And man, this is, although, a little cheat here because this is a family show. They can't show blown up bits of stormtroopers, so they just show them with surprisingly little damage once they get outside the tunnel. But here, we see just how brutal things are getting here in this episode. So we're seeing like, wow, this is, because, Mandalorian, he saw his family massacred by droids, and it's taken him a long time to get over this. And now here we are, a droid has sacrificed its very existence for him. And Yoda baby has lost another protector, and he's kind of sad for it. But, this IG-11 has found his own redemption here, which I really thought is pretty cool. Then Moff Gideon shows up in his TIE fighter and tries to take them out from the air. Mandalorian uses his backpack to go ahead and really take the fight to Gideon. So yeah, he's strafing the the area, and they're trying to shoot him, but their weapons are having no effect on the TIE fighter. So, yeah, Mandalorian has to use his jetpack to go ahead and try and fight him in the air, but of course he hasn't had any real training since he was a kid, and so, he's got to... Basically, he's able to use it to blast off into the sky and then use his grappling hook to hitch a ride on the TIE fighter, which is like, again, it could come off silly, but Taika Waititi just makes it come up like really awesome looking. Like whoever did the CGI sequence for this really did a good job. So Mandalorian manages to go ahead and slap a detonator onto the TIE fighter wing and cause it to crash. But here again, we've got some real weight to everything, because you can see, he's managed to climb onto the roof of the TIE fighter, and Gideon's trying to shake him off, and he's he can't do it, because Mandalorian's not giving up until one of them is gone. So you can see the little detonator on the wing of the TIE fighter. It detonates, and it goes down. But it doesn't explode, okay? I want you to remember that. The TIE fighter does not explode. It does crash, but, it's a soft landing, more or less, if you can call it a crashing soft landing. But yeah, so then we see, the goodbyes being said. Grief Karga offers Mando his spot back at the guild, but, Mando's got a job to do. He's got to try and find the Yoda baby's people, or take care of him until he's grown, whichever comes first. So that could take a long time. Cara Dune decides to stay behind on Navarro to make sure that Imperial remnants are really gone. But most of them have been killed off, so there's not a whole lot of them left. But we will see, of course, that things are not quite over. The little Yoda baby obviously has bonded with his new dad, basically. Because he's a foundling. At least that's the assumption made by the armorer who, charged Mandalorian with helping him find his family. Karga, again, he's offered Mando, look, you're welcome back anytime, take, whatever time you need to finish your mission, but, when you come back, you've got your place back at the guild. So then he goes ahead and buries Quill, Mr. I have spoken, and then blasts off into the sunset. True Western fashion. Which, again, this is a proper ending to this season, and I just am really blown away by how well this is done. But, things are not over, okay? Because we get a little ending scene where Moff Gideon cuts his way out of this TIE fighter because Jawas were picking at the wreckage, and they were surprised because he cut his way out with a dark saber. Yes, a dark saber pulled from the extended universe itself. What Kathleen Kennedy decided is non-canon, well, guess what? Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have made it canon once more. Or at least parts of it, because the Darksaber was from the extended universe. And yeah, but this is really awesome storytelling. I just cannot get over how good this was, and the missed opportunity, because I'm also sad because of all the missed opportunities in the movie trilogy. The one that was supposed to conclude the Skywalker saga and pass the torch on from one generation to the next. And it was all blown by Kathleen Kennedy and her little no-talent hacks, Jar Jar Abrams and Ruin Johnson. The Mandalorian, however, proves what the trilogy could have been in the hands of Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, Deborah Chow, and Taika Waititi. Because all of these people have shown just how talented they are in telling a story. This is an epic Western and samurai story rolled into one, set in the Star Wars universe. Fan service in this is done right, where it's done, where it actually helps advance the story instead of just being thrown in there for shameless nostalgia pushing. This is how you do it, people. So what do you think of this episode? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Like I said, I thought revealing the Mandalorian's face was a mistake because it does lose the air of mystery about him. You know, we don't get to see him without his helmet throughout most of the series. And, you know, because there's this creed that they're not allowed to take their helmets off in front of others, you know, who aren't clan members. Well, you know, but looking at Pedro Pascal's face, and I mean, you know, he's not an ugly guy, but, you know, it kind of removes some of the mystery around him. And I think we do need to have some of that mystery because now we know what he looks like underneath the helmet. And, you know, do we really need to? No. So I think that was a bit of a mistake, but we'll see how that plays out in season 2 because it's already been renewed for a 3rd season, I think. It's done that well for Disney Plus, and it's resonating with audiences. Gina Carano is obviously returning for season 2 because she's shooting her scenes. And obviously, we're going to see Moff Gideon back. And frankly, we still have not seen that thing resolved at the end of the Gunslinger episode, where someone approaches the body of the assassin, and it's hinted that it could possibly be Boba Fett, but we don't know, because we never actually get to see the person in full. Could have been Moff Gideon, maybe, but he doesn't strike me as being the type who would go anywhere without a contingent of stormtroopers. So well, I think we're going to see what happens in season 2. I'm actually looking forward to it. So what do you think of this episode? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear from you. If you like what you've heard and you want to hear more, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon and select all to receive notifications whenever we upload new content. Like this video, share it. If you want to help support the channel, keep the lights on, and help us bring you more content, head over to our Patreon or Subscribe Star page. We can't do this without you. Until next time, this is Michael Wilk for the Wilk Report saying take care, good night, I'm out.